how to grow your business with video even if you're a card-carrying introvert. Today on Brand Tales.
Brand Tales, all your brand tales. Listen to how the greatest brands came to be.
Hey there, I'm Holly Chantel, the founder of The Land of Brand and your host today for Brand Tales. Well, actually, I'm your host every day. So I would like to welcome you again for another week. If you've left a review, thank you so much. We are reading each and every one, and we are really enjoying hearing your feedback. So if you have feedback or if you have questions, please make sure that you leave a review on the blog or on iTunes. And today we're going to be talking to Lou Bortone, who is a dear friend of mine. I've known him for about 6 years now, and we were trained together as Book Yourself Solid coaches, and we've kept in touch ever since. And Lou is awesome. He is a video marketing expert, and he got his start actually working for television companies. He worked for the E Network, Fox News, as well as a couple local stations. And he got his start in his business doing video production. But now, what his main focus is helping entrepreneurs, especially coaches and consultants, build their brands online using video. He has his special sauce is creating videos that are engaging, that educate, and that empower you and your viewers with your message. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk to Lou and see what he has to say about growing a business online with video. Hello, Lou. Thank you so much for being here on Brand Tales.
Hello, Newman. Hi, Holly. How are you doing? How are you doing?
I always want to say your name like Lou. So Lou, I'm so excited to have you here.
Thanks.
As you know, you're near and dear to my heart. You're one of my best business friends. So this is really exciting to kind of look at the story behind your business.
Thanks.
So I want to know, what do you love about your business?
I think the thing that I appreciate most about it is just the flexibility, as you know, from being self-employed. If things come up, you can usually move your schedule around. I can stop working at 2 in the afternoon and go to my son's baseball game and then come back and work, from 9 to 11 or something. So I don't work traditional hours at all, but I definitely, just work when I can and when I want to.
Right, and it seems like you have been doing that a lot. You're going away for like weeks at a time for baseball. So
I know.
I don't
It's
know
crazy.
many people that can do things like that, especially with their kids. So that's really great.
Yeah, it's really cool to not have to always go to the boss and say, "Oh, can I leave early Friday?" Or,
Hmm.
my son has a tournament in Florida and I got to disappear for a week. So,
Right, and you get the whole eye roll and everything. So
hmm
you get to really choose what it is that you want to do.
yep.
And was this what you envisioned when you started your business, or was your vision back then kind of different?
No, no, not at all. It's interesting because my business sort of evolved. I'm not sure if we knew each other back in the day, but I was doing like traditional video production, like
Hmm.
going to a place to do a shoot with equipment and lights and cameras, and so I kind of thought it would be more of that. But as the business changed and YouTube came along and things were moving online, we just realized that we didn't need to have a $15,000 video camera if we had this. So.
Right.
So it definitely evolved. I also did some ghostwriting back in the day, which is funny because I mean, it was kind of like, well, I'll just do whatever I have to do to make a living. So a little writing, a little video production,
You had that
whatever.
like Hollywood mindset, like I'll just do what
Yeah,
it takes to
just
stay
as
in the
as
industry.
projects as projects come along.
Right.
So now it's a little bit more organized, 10 years later. Not completely organized, but a little bit more organized in terms of like, okay, I know I've got this chunk of business and I know I have to do this. And
Hmm.
I've kind of tried to set it up so that it's a little bit more passive and doesn't require me to be, on all the time.
Right. And you've done a really good job of that, of not having to be creating all the time. I know like in the last year you've kind of transitioned from
hmm
the constantly launching your own products to now you're doing a lot of affiliate marketing now, aren't you?
Yep, I do a lot of affiliate marketing, and I try to create a lot of products that are going to have some shelf life. Like,
Hmm.
as you know, last year I did the Creative Live thing, and that's nice because you create it once, and that's the beauty of video is you create it once and it's out there forever,
Right.
for better or worse.
Right.
And again, with some of the stuff with video, obviously, if I'm doing, YouTube products or something, I've got to update it. But for the most part, you can create it once and sell it over and over again.
Right. And with your products, I mean, you put so much thought into them and there's so much information in your products. Like they're really rich. So not having to create those constantly and instead being able to focus on like one at a time and make it really good and have that longevity is awesome.
Yeah, and it's a little tricky because being entrepreneurs, we have sort of entrepreneurial ADHD and want to jump to the next thing. But I try and say, okay, I've got to finish this and actually get it done and get it out there before I move on to the next thing.
Right.
It's like, oh, Periscope, let's try that. Oh, Meerkat. Ooh.
I know I have a little confession. I've been kind of obsessed with Periscope. I haven't used it yet, but I've been stalking a lot of people and trying
Yeah,
to
you have
think.
to check it out and,
Yeah,
and
it
uh,
looks really
see
cool,
who's doing what before you kind of dive in.
right? So what advice would you give your beginner self?
Huh. Don't leave your job. No, I'm just kidding. Um, I really, it's just a matter of, I would probably say focus. Forget about just like flitting around from one thing to the next and trying to make a buck here or make a buck there, and really just focus. Like I said, I did some ghostwriting and video production, but when I really moved to online video and video marketing and teaching that online, that's when things started to come together. So focus.
Focus. So you found like now that you are really focusing, things are taking off for you?
Yeah, and again, my attention span isn't any longer. I'm just a little bit more disciplined about trying to
That's
stick
awesome.
with it, a project that works, and they don't all work, but you know.
So have you had any ideas that were like an epic fail?
Oh yeah, tons. And I was trying to think, what hasn't worked? There's a lot that hasn't worked, so much that I can't even remember specifically.
Hmm.
But I look at it sort of like, because I spend so much time at baseball fields, I look at it like baseball. Like if I'm batting 300, if 3 out of 10 ideas are a hit, then that's success. So,
Right. And that's true. I think that we are a little too hard on ourselves as entrepreneurs that everything
mhm.
has to work. But that's a perfect analogy. In baseball, they don't hit the ball every single time. In fact, they
No,
don't hit it that often.
right. A 300 average is real good in the bigs. So I'll take that with entrepreneurial stuff. And I think the hard part is knowing when to kind of let go. Because if you have a project and
Hmm.
it's not working the way you want, do you keep at it? And are you really stubborn, or do you just kind of say at one point you cut your losses and walk away? So that's the hard part.
And that's one thing that I've always really admired about you is even though you're talking about like the focus being a challenge for a while, you've always been so tenacious. Like you always make it work, like no matter
Stubborn.
what. Yeah,
Well,
you're stubborn.
yeah, kind of stubborn. And I feel like if you've put that work into it, if you do believe in it, then you got to keep at it and give it a chance to work. And then if not, if it's kind of like this is ridiculous. I mean, I can't believe nobody wants the super funky video player maker or something, so. Like you mentioned earlier, I do enough affiliate stuff so that I can kind of see what's working, what's
Mhm.
not working. What do I feel like my audience would appreciate, and try and promote that stuff, and like not so much in the early days I was like, oh, I'll promote anything, but now I'm trying to be a lot more selective.
That's a really interesting point that affiliate marketing can be used to test your audience in what they're interested in and seeing what's
Hmm.
working before you actually go and create a product.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny too because I'll do something like I'm talking a lot about YouTube thumbnails and how important they are and how important the visual is, and along comes a friend of mine in the UK who's doing thumbnail software. It's like, okay, well, that's kind of a no-brainer. That
Nice.
I'm telling my folks they need that, so it makes sense to promote a product that does that.
Right. So you didn't have to kind of reinvent the wheel. That's awesome.
Right. So it's like I don't have to create thumbnail software. Somebody else did. I'll just promote their $27 software and get a little
Yeah,
piece of
get
the
your
action.
commission. Yeah.
Mhm.
Because usually with those kinds of things, like the affiliate commission's pretty good. I guess it kind of goes like this, like either you take the affiliate commission or you pay the affiliate commission.
Right. Yeah.
Because you're a lot of those are 50-50, aren't they?
Yeah. And it's funny too because I looked at my JV Zoo as one of the companies that does a lot of affiliate promotions, and people do their affiliate stuff through them.
Hmm.
And I think I have like 106 products from JV. I'm so embarrassed. I just have this massive because I try and look at everything and vet it and test it before I promote it. So I have a
Yeah, I
lot of
mean, and
stuff.
that says a lot about you that you're not promoting things that are, just because they're the new coolest thing. Like you are testing all of these things and making sure that they are something that you would use yourself.
Yeah.
And that's why I follow you, because you're always coming up with these, like I can't possibly ever implement all the tools you use.
Hmm.
But you're always the one that's like you're my like go-to person. Like if I am thinking about something or I need something, like I look at your blog and I'm like, has he used this yet?
Yeah, and if I have used it and I don't like it, I'm not shy about saying,
Yeah,
I've had
which is
people call
good.
me up and say, "Can you take that review, nasty review down for me?"
No,
I'm like, "Oh." So,
nope, I'm just being honest.
mhm.
So we talked about, business ideas that haven't worked. So let's talk about like a moment that you just really felt like you had made it.
I'll let you know when that happens. No. It's funny. I think to think of, conferences and things like that that we attend. Sometimes we go to some of the same stuff, but I remember at some point, I don't know why this sticks out in my mind, but it being at a NAMS conference, which is Novice to Affiliate Marketing System, which is something that I attend often and teach at. But at one point, I was in the audience and they said, "Hey, Lou, we're doing this little expert panel. Will you come up here and be on the expert panel?" I'm like, "Really?" Okay. So, but I just kind of felt like that's when I transitioned from the learner to the teacher. I was in the audience like, "You really want me to sit on one of the big chairs with the big boys?" And okay, cool. So.
That's awesome. Yeah, I bet that was a really good feeling.
And then I was up there and they said, you can go back and sit down now. So,
And that was one of those epic fail moments. And yeah, I remember a moment where I was like, wow, Lou's really made it.
I don't
when
know.
we went to the Infusionsoft conference,
Oh,
and
yeah.
everyone was walking up to you saying like, "Hey, Lou," and I'm like this little wallflower saying like, "How do you know everyone?" And you said
Video.
you're like, just social media. I actually haven't met any of these people,
Yeah.
and it really just shows how effective your strategy is and what it is you do, because not only did everyone recognize you, they loved you. Like
I
everyone
don't know
loves
about that.
Lou. Just
But I think the
I
video
know I'm
thing
making you
is,
blush, but just for
so,
like the people watching, like you have to know like everyone who knows Lou loves Lou.
well, we put Sweet Lou on our website. So thanks
Yeah,
for that.
that's
But
because
yeah, I
that's what
think it
everyone
really
sees.
is the video thing, the connection that you can make. We always talk about, are you friends IRL in real life? It's like, well, now we are. But
Right.
but I mean, I have people that I've worked with for years and never met other
Hmm.
than video conferencing, social media. So I think it really does help make that connection. And then when you meet somebody, it's kind of like running into an old friend rather than meeting for the first time.
Right. Yeah,
Because
and it
like
makes it so much
you know
easier.
as well as anybody, I am an introvert. Where's my card? I am a card carrying introvert.
I love it.
So I knew I had that card somewhere. So I need to, I mean, I rely on video and social media to help me build that foundation because I'm just naturally not outgoing,
Hmm. Yeah,
believe
and
it or not.
I mean, it is a really good tool for introverted people. So you're a classic example. So how would you describe your brand?
Well, you helped me develop it, so you tell me. But I think it's fun and quirky and also, sort of straightforward. I struggle with that because it's like at the end of the day, people say, oh, you teach things in a way I can understand and you do it step by step and you don't have a bunch of techno babble. But at the same time, I always kind of want to be sort of a little bit of a wise ass and quirky and fun and that kind of thing. So it's sort of walking that fine line between, being amusing and being educating and empowering people.
Love it. And yeah, I don't know if you're on a webinar a couple weeks ago that I did with Sean Driscoll, but we actually looked at your
Yeah,
site as an
Sean.
example,
Yeah,
and we were talking about how you're really innovative and how it's like your site looks a little bit cutting edge, like it's got a little bit of edginess to it, like a little bit of like you're thinking outside of the box, and then we have like the pug,
I
like
know that
pieces
was
of your
a tough
personality, like
balance because and I gave you guys a tough assignment and said, okay, I want it to be professional, but a little bit quirky and edgy, and that's when we said, well, let's put Rocco in there, and Rocco the pug, he's right down there,
yeah.
always at my side, so why not make him part of the brand?
Yeah, he should be back there in the background so we can see him.
Where did he go? Actually, when I can't see him is when I worry about him.
This is
So,
true. Kind of like when I can't see Evan or hear Evan, he's into something.
yeah, it's been too quiet for too long.
So was it hard for you to get that level of clarity of knowing what your brand was about?
Oh yeah, I mean, it took years. As a fellow Book Yourself Solid certified coach, Michael Port always talks about the who and do what statement, and I
Hmm.
probably had 30 who you are and what you do statements, and I think it's constantly evolving.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it was really, really hard to narrow it down, especially because when you first start, you want to be everything to everyone and be the solution for everything. And then, ironically, it's when you really narrow things down that you can really start to build your brand a little bit better.
Yes, and that's true words were never spoken.
So that being said, I'm still not exactly sure what the brand is, but it's evolving, and hopefully, when people um, see me, they get a pretty good sense of what I do and how I do it.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, I've just from personal experience watching you, you have grown your brand so much over the last couple years. Like it is much clearer what you do, and you are really. What I love about you is that you really walk the talk.
I try, even though I think I have like 97 domain names. So I'm always, oh, I'll do this and do that. But at the end of the day, you got to say, I do video marketing.
Right.
That's my thing. So,
Right, but and it's so clear that it's your thing because you do so much video marketing yourself, and your videos are engaging and they are empowering, and then like your message is always woven throughout those lessons. So
mhm.
that's why you're definitely someone to watch.
Well, thanks. I try and practice what I preach. And it's funny too, because people say like, oh, I didn't know you did copywriting. It's like, that's because I don't promote it because it would be confusing to people.
Right?
So,
Yeah, exactly. You have these kind of like tools in your tool belt, and I think that's something that people need to realize, or coaches need to realize, is that you don't have to put all of your tool like. Well, let me rephrase this.
mm,
Just because you're not putting those tools out there does not mean that you can't sell them. If someone comes to you for something
mhm,
and you want to take that project, you certainly can, but you don't want to dilute your brand. So we
right,
have all these tools in our tool belt, things that we're really good at that we probably could offer to people, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to put it all up
right.
front on your website. So
Yeah,
that's
and
a
I
really
have to
good point.
also because people will say, "Oh, you must do video SEO." I'm like, no, that gives me hives. I don't know anything about SEO. Go see Holly. So
Oh, I
uh,
don't do SEO.
it's like this.
It's
Um,
one of, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that you choose to be an expert in what you're an expert in, and then there's the things that you just
right.
seem like they go hand in hand with what you do, but really just are not interesting.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like when you're just starting out, you have to be able to. You don't want to turn down any business, but you
Right.
have to be able to say that's not my forte.
Right. And sometimes it even changes. I used to love marketing and learning about marketing and learning all the new strategies. And now that I have Evan, I don't have any time to add that to my plate. So I'm kind of like moving away from helping people with that because I just can't keep up with it anymore.
Hmm. It's like if I can't do it holding a baby, then I can't do it at all. So
Yeah.
it's like if I can't do my job walking a pug and talking on the phone, then forget it. So
Or sitting at a baseball game.
yeah, exactly.
So what do you do to celebrate a big win in your business?
Wow, that's a good question. Um, I usually, reward myself with like, okay, I can actually relax and watch TV tonight, and watch something that's like a completely mindless, guilty pleasure. Not as bad as like the Kardashians, but maybe like The Bachelor or something. I'm like a huge HGTV fan. So
Oh, yes.
if I feel like okay, I've accomplished a lot today, or I've got a new client, or whatever it may be, I'll actually, rather than just like eating ice cream or going out for a drink, I'm like, I'm gonna watch more HGTV
I'm going to
tonight.
go watch someone improve their house.
Exactly. So
Because I
yeah,
don't have time to do that.
no. So it's funny, but again, it's the same thing. Like you're only as good as your last promotion or your last marketing campaign. So I don't really stop too much to take it all in. I'm like right on to the next thing.
Hmm. That's probably why you are where you've gotten to. So, what is the number one thing that has contributed to where you are now?
Um, Really, probably just persistence and perseverance, and sticking with video. I mean, like I said, I don't really like being on camera, and I've just like kind of worked through it, and that video stuff. That's like that. Hey, I feel like I already know you. When people meet you, that's really powerful, and I think it's a matter of, just saying like, well, I'm not going to do videos. Like, well, I'm a video guy. I don't really have a choice. So even though I prefer to do off-camera stuff and animation and things like that, I know I've got to do the on-camera stuff too, and just persevere.
I think that's like a fun Lou fact that you just really don't like being on video. And
Not
I think
really.
it's so ironic being that where you are in your bit, like what type of business you have. So what tips do you have for people that don't want to be on camera
Um,
or just aren't comfortable?
Yeah, I mean, you have to find, I always talk about you have to find your video sweet spot. For
Hmm.
me, I like doing webinars with a PowerPoint presentation and walking through that and showing screenshots and all that just because I'm a visual learner. But other folks, may love being on camera and just, eat it up, and maybe they're more outgoing or they just prefer to communicate that way. So find your sweet spot and use that sort of as your fallback. My fallback is kind of like, okay, I'm going to do a 45-minute webinar with 60 slides. That's video for me.
Hmm.
Other folks, it might be 2-minute tips that they do on YouTube. And that's the thing. You don't have to, a lot of people overthink the video stuff when sometimes it's just like, I'm going to fire up a Google Hangout and do, 5 tips in 5 minutes.
Hmm.
So really, it's just a matter of finding your strengths and going with that.
Awesome. And tell us about your characters too. Don't those help you?
Oh yeah, the characters. Well, because I don't like to be on camera that much, when I first started doing it, I would pretty much do whatever I could to take the focus away from me. So that usually involved a pet. At the time, it was Stella the pug. Now Rocco has kind of stepped into that role. Um, I did one of my favorite videos that has like a lot of views is the Moses 10 Commandments, where I had like I think I look more like Kurt Cobain, but it was supposed to be Moses. And so I do costumes and gimmicks, and because I have this green screen, I can just put whatever I want. So I'm like, I'm here in Las Vegas, and just put a different background in there. So that was just using like, okay, well, if I want to shift the focus away from me being on camera, I have to start to add some bells and whistles and gimmicks, and it really turned out to be fun. So now I'm like, I sort of look forward to it, or I do my oh my gosh, everybody's doing video tips. Well, I'm going to do them as director Cecil B. DeMoron, and where's my glasses? And get my crazy Cecil B. DeMoron glasses out. So that's the thing. It's like it's like, well, wow, you're really funny. I'm like, well, I'm not that funny in person. I just try to be funny online.
Oh, please, you're freaking hilarious. In person or online. And the characters that you do, they add it's so much more than just doing tips because anyone can do tips. You can
Mhm.
Google an article and do a video of the
Yeah.
tips that are in that article. But I really think that when you're doing a character and you're being more casual about it and bringing yourself into it, it
Hmm.
it makes you look smarter.
Maybe,
It
and I
makes
think
you
it's
look even more credible because you're willing to have fun with it and not like feel
yeah,
like you have to be all buttoned up and perfect.
Um, and that's the thing. I mean, you have to put a little bit of yourself into it and inject your personality, because if there are 100 yoga instructors doing yoga instruction on video, what are you going to do that's going to differentiate you and distinguish you from the 99 others?
Hmm. Absolutely. So now I have some fun questions to close this out.
Okay.
So, do you have any non-business talents that you can share?
Does sleeping count? Is that
Yeah,
a
are you
talent?
really good at sleeping?
Yeah. I remember when my kids were little,
Can you teach Eben?
we had to, the kids are like, what is daddy really good at? And they're like, sleeping. I'm like, yeah. But I play the drums. I don't do it as often as I would like to, but I used to do that quite a bit. So I guess that's a bit of musical
That's
talent.
cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And what is your
And
favorite tool to use in your business?
from a platform standpoint, obviously it's YouTube because I do a lot of video. But just sort of like day-to-day tools that I like to use, I really like Lead Pages and Webinar Jam because I can do web pages and webinars whenever I want.
Yeah, that's nice. And what is your favorite food?
Pizza.
Pizza.
I can eat pizza every
I
day and
should have
every
known.
night. So, like East Coast pizza, not Los Angeles pizza. So,
What's the difference between East Coast pizza and Los Angeles pizza?
oh man, I don't know. Well, besides 3,000 miles worth of difference, but it's just, I don't know. There's something about New York and Boston pizza, maybe even Philly, that just is so much better
I
than
guess it's all the
West Coast pizza.
Italians up here.
Yeah, I think so.
The motherland. What is your favorite business book?
Oh, I'm glad you asked because I think I have it with me. This is Anything You Want by Derek Sivers. You familiar with that one? It's really
No,
cool.
I haven't. I have not
It's
heard of it.
short and sweet, and this is the guy that founded CD Baby
Oh,
many
okay.
years ago. And yeah, I really like that one. I like Michael Port's book, Yourself Solid, obviously.
Hmm.
That's sort of like the Bible of marketing that I go to all the time.
Right. And last question, if you were a fairy tale character, what or who would you be?
Hmm. Probably Grumpy from the Seven Dwarfs. At least until 11 in the morning. After that, I might be a little bit less grumpy. So,
And what would Rocco be?
Rocco, wow. I think Rocco thinks he's like, I think he thinks he's Brian from Family Guy, just the smartest one in the room. So,
Right. That's funny. Well, very cool. So, Lou, I know that everyone's wondering how do we get in touch with you because you're so engaging and you have so much cool stuff. How do we get our hands on it?
you can go to that lovely website, that the land of brand design at loubortone.com, or email me. I actually enter my own email at vip@loubortone.com,
Ooh, we get the VIP address.
the VIP one.
And you have a free gift on your website too, right?
I do, but I'll actually give you an even newer one at loubortone.com/kit, KIT. You can get a video survival bundle kit
Ooh,
that's
nice.
has a few videos and a few cheat sheets and things like that.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely go grab that because Lou does not fool around when it comes to putting together those kinds of kits. So that's awesome. So thank you, Lou, so much for coming, and thank you everyone for listening today. I hope you enjoyed Lou's brand tale, and of course, we will be back next week. So make sure that you subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or the blog, so that you don't miss a beat and you get the. We should put the show notes, all the links that we talked about today. Everything will be right on the blog, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.
Cool, thanks.